Well, that wasn't about as expected. Well, good season, guys. Actually, good season. I mean, it's the best season this team has had since 2017. Won a playoff series, pushed the best team in the majors to 5 games after trailing the series 2 games to none, but could not finish in Game 5, and I think it was a bit too much to ask of this specific Cubs team to win 3 elimination games in a row. Especially when the winner-take-all game is on the road, and that location, you got beat pretty badly in the first 2 games. Didn't get beat nearly as badly in this game, but, offense still struggled mightily past the first 2 innings. Out of the 3 games that the Cubs played in Milwaukee in this series, they scored a grand total of 2 runs past the second inning. I mean, that's not a recipe for success. They scored only 5 runs in the first 2 innings, though. So it's not like they scored a lot while they were playing on the road. The bats were cold, and they were cold often in this game. Seiya Suzuki, great hit. What a nice swing, especially right after the Brewers took the lead in the bottom of the first to go out there and take Jacob Mizorowski out for a long ball to tie it up was clutch, but no one else could help you out. Yeah, I haven't said it yet. Cubs lose 3-1 to the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 5 of the National League Division Series, and they have been eliminated from the playoffs, thus ending their 2025 season. Yeah, that stinks, but the best season this team has had in over half a decade, so I think that we as Cub fans need to hold our heads high, because with what we expected this team to do, this was probably a little bit more than what we thought this team was going to do this season. I mean, look at what happened before. I mean, look at the last 2 seasons. 2023, they fell just short of making the playoffs, and it's to a... Look at 2023. They barely missed the playoffs due to a collapse in the last week of the season. 2024, they underperform like crazy, and then they finally are able to get over the hump and into the playoffs, and not just into the playoffs, they get to host a wild card series, win said wild card series, to face a division rival who happened to finish with the best record in Major League Baseball and push them to 5 games. I don't know. From what I expected out of this team at the beginning of this season, I think this is a little bit more than what I expected. So I have little complaints about them getting this far, but I can also recognize that this loss hurts because there was definitely a shot. Look at the top of the 6th. It's Michael Busch to single. Horner gets hit by a pitch, and then all of a sudden there's 2 runners on, nobody out. Kyle Tucker comes up to the plate, and he strikes out swinging. But the problem is, on a 3-1 pitch that he saw, it was right down the middle, and he missed the pitch. If this team is to extend Kyle Tucker, he has to make sure he comes through in those moments, because also in his plate appearance in the 8th, grounded right to second when they needed a base hit with a runner on. I was like, look, if you want that extension, you make a big-time swing here. And he grounded out, as he has done so much in the back half of the season. I know there are some people that are going to want him off the team, especially switching up after wanting him extended after the good, successful April, May, and June. But, I don't know what happens with Kyle Tucker. I don't know if he gets re-signed. The way that he played in the back half of the season does not tell me that he's worth a big-time extension. And that one stinks because Seiya Suzuki came up next, and despite having the home run in the top of the 2nd, it was a nice hit out to left field, but it was just a little short, and Jackson Chourio was able to make a nice play on the ball and make a catch. And he's got a bit of a cannon, so no one moves up, so they can't get Bush to third even on that hit. And Ian Happ also called out on strikes. Got to swing the bat there, and that was the turning point. They couldn't score there, and they never had a good position like that again. So obviously, falling in the top of the sixth was not good, but you know what would have helped in that scenario to make sure that was not nearly as impactful? Not giving up 2-out homers. The Brewers hit 3 solo home runs in this game. All of them came with 2 outs. All 2-out homers. All runs scored in big-time moments when the odds were stacked against them with 2 outs and nobody on. William Contreras, Andrew Vaughn, and Bryce Terang. And that was it. Cubs couldn't respond, and with the top of the sixth going the way that it did, that felt like the nail in the coffin, especially when Bryce Terang hit that solo homer in the bottom of the seventh. That felt like the knockout punch, and it was. The Cubs relied on the long ball so much in this postseason. Nearly 70% of all the runs scored in the 2025 playoffs for the Chicago Cubs came by the way of the home run. I mean, seriously, the long ball was the strong suit for the Cubs in this postseason. Michael Busch had 4 postseason homers. Seiya Suzuki had 3 of them. Ian Happ hit 2. And not to mention the fact that we saw Kyle Tucker, Nico Horner, and Carson Kelly all get home runs as well. Like, they were getting a ton of home runs throughout the 8 games they were in these playoffs. And it provided the vast majority of their runs. They could not score with runners in scoring position. That's another big thing that we got to talk about. Runners in scoring position. Cubs in the playoffs were frankly terrible. If I remember correctly, they only had 5 hits total with runners in scoring position in about 30 attempts in the playoffs. You're not going to win a lot of games doing that. And the fact they could not score runners on the bases was a big reason why they lost this series. I mean, look, the Cubs went out against a really good baseball team. There's a reason why the Brewers won the most games in the major leagues this year. That is a good baseball team. And they're doing it without a true power hitter. Like, they've got hitters, but without their traditional, like, massive bat that everyone talks about for being there as a massive bat. They are very complimentary in the way that they play baseball. A great pitching staff. I mean, seriously, that organization pumps out pitchers. It's like crazy. They have so much pitching room, like, turnover, but they still perform well on the mound. Doesn't matter who's pitching. And then now they finally got some bats. And it's not just Christian Yelich. They've got William Contreras, Bryce Terang, Jackson Chourio. I mean, this lineup has gotten it done in this postseason. Andrew Vaughn's another name I haven't mentioned who just woke up after he left Southside. They've got hitters that can come through in the clutch. And, 3 of them hit 2-out solo shot homers. And that's how they were able to get the run support they needed to perform defensively. That's what they needed. And they let their pitching staff do the rest. Look, I think that this Milwaukee team is going to be very, very hard to knock out of the playoffs. The LA Dodgers have the star power, but I think the Milwaukee Brewers have the chemistry and the build to beat this Dodgers team. I think that they're a very complete baseball team. They play very complementary baseball. And they're going to be a very, very, very hard out. Someone is stepping up in every game. It doesn't matter who. Someone different on a day-to-day basis comes through for the Brewers in a big way, whether they win or lose. So I think that that's a big strength, that they have just so many good above-average pieces that they end up becoming a really good team because of it. They don't need a superstar to play like a great team. Good luck to the Brewers in the NLCS. You're going up against the biggest market in the National League, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Pretty much everyone in America besides LA and Chicago are going to be rooting for you. So you got the country on your side. Trying to see if you can get to the World Series for the first time since the early 80s. And hey, they very well might be playing a team that's never been to the World Series in the Seattle Mariners. So we could be seeing a World Series between two teams who have never won a World Series. Or we could see the Dodgers just win it all and we kind of get the worst outcome and see them go back to back. Man, would I hate to see that, man. That would stink. But anyways, let's talk about the good. Enough about moping about the fact that the season's over and they got eliminated by a division rival. Let's talk about some of the good. Please pull up a chair and let's talk about the good in the 2025 Chicago Cubs. Look, this team saw 3 big breakout seasons from young players in this organization that I think can be stars for this team. Michael Busch, Pete Crow Armstrong, Cade Horton. Those 3 guys played very well this year. I know Pete Crow Armstrong is going to catch a lot of flack this offseason because he had a very bad second half. I'm not going to lie. He had a very bad second half. But man, he had such a good front half to the season that he was still able to notch a 30-30 season. Just the second player to ever hit for 30 home runs and steal 30 bases in the same season, joining the legendary Sammy Sosa. Michael Busch was very quiet. Like, he broke out this season, but he did not get the same media attention that Pete Crow Armstrong or Kyle Tucker or Seiya Suzuki had. And even though Kyle Tucker slumped and we got all our questions about Kyle Tucker, he was still in the loop and in the daily conversation much more than Michael Busch was. But he's been great. Led the team in home runs with 34 of them this season. He hit for 261. I really liked what I saw from Michael Busch, and he's been a very, very good first baseman as well. I think that this team has found their first baseman successor to Anthony Rizzo. Look, and then we get to Cade Horton, who had such a great end to this season. It's really unfortunate that he could not play in the postseason due to an injury. 2.67 ERA, an 11-4 record, 97 strikeouts in 118 innings pitched. I gotta say, for a rookie, it's not that bad. I think that that's pretty good, and I think that they potentially have an ace on their hands if he continues to develop and play like he did this year. But also seeing a young guy like Daniel Palencia take a closer role like he did in the regular season this year and just throw straight gas was awesome. I know he kind of became the first reliever more often than not in the postseason. It was a really interesting change. But, hey, if they needed one inning out of him and they would like to get it in the 5th, so be it. Because, frankly, especially in that NLDS series, they were trailing a lot around when he would need to come in. So I don't blame him. And look, overall, this pitching staff was not too bad this season. I know they had their moments, but I have been of the opinion that this pitching staff was what was kind of holding this team back a little bit. I didn't think they had too many problems when it came to their position players. Their batting lineup could have been a little bit better in years past, but the hitting lineup was really good this year, and the pitching did its job to get this team into the playoffs. The bullpen was not awful, and I was really happy to see that because the last handful of years, the bullpen had really, really struggled. And so seeing the bullpen be able to close out games this year was really nice. I think that this starting rotation is going to be pretty good next year if everyone's healthy because Cade Horton will be back. Justin Steele will be back after missing almost the entire season. You'll have Shota Imanaga, you'll have Matthew Boyd, and you'll have Jamison Tyone, who seems like he's finally healthy, like fully healthy. He had a rough start to his tenure here in Chicago, but I think he's put together some of his best performances as of late. And I felt really confident with him going into Game 3. So I'm really excited to see this starting rotation. If it is those 5 guys and they're all healthy and starting, I don't think that that's a bad starting rotation. I actually feel pretty good about that. I'm not going to lie. The thing is, can they stay healthy? Because 2 of those 5 guys not available in the playoffs. And 2 other guys didn't have great starts in the playoffs. Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga, games 1 and 2, not their day. So we'll see what happens with the pitching staff. I am interested to see what happens in the field as well. Outside of Kyle Tucker, I really do think that this team's got their infield finally set. They've had Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner in there for a couple of years. And I mean, the middle infield's so good for this team. Dansby Swanson, I know he had an error in Game 5 here, but he literally immediately made up for it. And he almost made another phenomenal play later on in the game. I mean, Dansby Swanson is so good defensively that you can arguably excuse some slumps offensively, in my opinion. I think he's worth the paycheck for his defensive prowess. Nico Horner is also a very good second baseman, also a Gold Glover, and he's actually pretty good at the plate. It's so crazy. He wasn't a massive long ball guy. He hit just 7 home runs this season. Did get a home run in the playoffs, which I was very happy for him for. But he hit 297. The guy was just getting on base, and he was their best hitter with runners in scoring position. So despite Nico Horner not being a guy who can hit it deep, a power hitter, he was still a very valuable hitter for this team. So I think that both those guys are going to stick around next season. Michael Busch, now at first base. Of course, I already talked about how good of a season he had at the plate. And then Matt Shaw, he kind of came in, got called up, and he was a mainstay on the lineup for the back half of the season. And I would expect him to take another step this year, or this upcoming season. I think that this year was very valuable experience for him. I think it was very valuable experience for a lot of those young guys on this Cubs team. Bush, Matt Shaw, Pete Crow Armstrong, Seiya Suzuki, Shota Imanaga. Cade Horton, if he pitched in this series, it would have been valuable experience for him. I think that a lot of these guys that are on the Chicago team that we look as some of the best players got valuable playoff experience here. I think that this was a very important season for this squad. Look, I don't think that there are too many question marks going into the offseason. From a personnel standpoint, I think it's mainly whether or not they're going to re-sign Kyle Tucker or not. But I think that the other question marks, I guess, would come from whether or not they do end up signing Kyle Tucker or not. And if they don't re-sign Kyle Tucker, does Seiya Suzuki move back into right field, which is pretty much what he was here in the playoffs after being the DH the vast majority of the season? And if so, who do they put in the DH spot? Do they go for a developmental piece like Owen Casey or Moises Ballesteros, or does it go to someone who has been around in the majors for a long time and is a very big veteran like Justin Turner? I don't know what happens, but we'll see. I don't think that there are a ton of question marks. I think that this pitching staff, at least from a starting rotation perspective, I don't feel too concerned about. If they can get some more consistency and continue to develop and grow, I think that that's the right thing that we have to hope for. And that Cade Horton and Justin Steele are going to be available if they're back in October next year. Other than that, it's just, who do they go after? Do they sign anyone crazy? Do they make a big splash? Or do they go ahead and stick with the guys that they have in this locker room and continue to build chemistry and trust in the development of the players that are currently on the roster? And look, this season was memorable, not just on the field, but off of it. seeing Sammy Sosa come back to Wrigley Field was just awesome, man. Seeing him and the Cubs organization finally able to squash out some ill will towards each other, and he's finally able to embrace the Wrigley faithful again. I think that was so cool. And I think Cubs fans were super excited to see him back there again. And of course, towards the end of the year, Anthony Rizzo announcing his retirement, and then pretty much immediately coming back to Wrigley Field to the roar of the crowd in Chicago. He goes to experience the game in the bleachers, and Moises Ballesteros hits a home run right to him. That was such a cool moment. I mean, cool players that this fan base absolutely loves, being able to come to Wrigley Field in a big way to inspire confidence and just be with this fan base again. Super fun. And then, of course, this fan base being able to rally and show moments of solitude when we learned that a guy like Ryan Steinberg had passed away from cancer, lost his battle with cancer. And to go out there and pretty much play for Rhino. Because we know how much Ryan Sandberg did for this organization back in the 80s. Man, that was empowering, and you felt his presence a little bit throughout the season. So yeah, I don't feel too bad about this team bowing out here. I think it's the right spot this year. And it's not like they made the playoffs and bowed out in 2 games in the wild card series. They won that wild card series against San Diego. They struggled in games 1 and 2 against Milwaukee, but they fought back to force a game 5, which doesn't happen too often in these scenarios. And then this elimination game, it wasn't like they had a 4-run lead in the 6th inning and blew it. It wasn't like they got blown out 11-0. Like, it was an elimination game. It happened. They lost by 2 runs. It wasn't like they got blown out. They didn't blow a big lead. It just kind of happened. It didn't feel like there was anything ridiculous that happened in this game. And so ends the 2025 season for the Chicago Cubs. Man, it was kind of nice to watch a team just play postseason ball. I'm very frustrated that they lost to Wisconsin again, but I'm already kind of a little over that. But at the end of the day, it's like this is the next step for this team. You hope that they can win the division next year. After having the lead for as long as they did, you hope that they can go out and win the NL Central next season. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what moves they make. And, get ready for the season in March. And I mean late March, like last 2 days of March. I really should have said April, but it's too late now. Anyways, I think I'm done. I've kind of exhausted all my thoughts. I feel like I've kind of talked enough about this team to leave them be and let them rest and head into the offseason. So, yeah, that's the end of the video. Please give it a like if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you really liked it and want to see more videos from me. Keep the conversation going in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about the Chicago Cubs 2025 season and what you hope to see next year. If you have any burning feelings about this game specifically. And that's it. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.